But the coin that I added to the portfolio today is called vEmpire.
And they are the largest decentralized metaverse investment organization in the world.
Hello, everybody, and what a lovely day it is. Let it kick off, and I'll do some button tapping in the background. You know what comes after Roby and Qcoin? When Binance. Hello, everybody. I've unfortunately got my old camera, but hopefully we got the new mic set up, so it should all be good. We have a very special guest and chain with us today. vEmpire's first phantom chain investment, Penguin Karts, who immediately everyone always jumps to and says looks like Mario Kart. So very fun. Wanted to introduce Baz, who is the CMO. So he'll be joining us now.
Cool. Great to be here. How you doing?
Nice beard. You're doing better than me.
Well, yeah, this is lockdown. Started 2 years ago, and here we are.
Yeah, we all feel that. Are you based out of the UK then?
Yeah, we could have done this in person. I'm towards Oxford, so
Fair enough.
not too far away.
What's that? Oxford. 2 hours or less from sort of Guildford way I am.
Yeah, an hour or so. Yeah, it's not too far. We're in the same part of town.
The innovation in the UK is spectacular, evidently.
Yeah, there's actually, I mean, quite a few projects and team members and friends and colleagues are all in the same space. I think it's really kind of, taken over the part of the UK. I think those kind of thought leaders and people that want to put their foot forward into an exciting new space certainly find their way into blockchain. So, yeah. Especially
with Portugal announcing that they're upping the taxes, everyone's going to be coming back. Everyone's out there enjoying the sun, and now, back to rainy Britain. That's what Rishi Sunak's doing for them. Yeah, take that.
Yeah, we'll see where that side goes. I mean, taxation is necessary, but maybe not a conversation for today. But
don't get us into that. Don't get into politics. I can go on for hours. But so wanted to sort of start off just with the normal introductions, yourself and Penguin Karts as a protocol.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So excited to be here. So my name's Baz, Baz Furby. I guess, how did I get into crypto and this space? I mean, I've worked in technology and marketing for the last 15 years. Predominantly was working in the e-commerce space, which and then got an interest in crypto really as an early retail investor. 2017, 18. I bought in, everything went bang. I ran off and paid no interest in crypto for about 2 years and just continued that kind of, just scared me off, to be honest, like a lot of people that were kind of early to it, got caught, bought high, sold low, and kind of scared myself, but stayed interested and continued to work in e-commerce. And then I think around 2020 again, kind of things really started to kind of kick off with crypto, start of lockdown. Bitcoin went on a big run, NFTs were everywhere. And I was like, okay, I was interested in that. Let's kind of get back involved. And I kind of made the jump to set up a marketing agency initially, and then jumped on board with Penguin Karts at the start of this year. So just to introduce the project, I guess, I mean, as you said at the beginning, people see the imagery, the renders, and, experience that gameplay. I think there's a lot of people kind of our age, I guess, who probably grew up with Mario Kart and that kind of entry to multiplayer kind of 3D battle.
Rainbow Road.
Yeah, exactly. Like the N64 was, probably the reason that my GCSEs weren't as good as they should have been. And, I think Penguin Karts takes a similar genre of a big multiplayer 3D kind of battle racing game, but connected into the blockchain. So ultimately, instead of just winning trophies and prizes, you can actually win NFTs, tokens, and really kind of play to earn, which is the genre that we're trying to push forward.
Good stuff. I mean, I know the concept is sort of built around, I presume it's built around sort of Mario Kart and how great and fun and experiencing game that was. But I'm interested in how the team actually came together for the concept. You mentioned your marketing background, which obviously lends itself to CMO, but how did you get in touch with the rest of the team? How was everything put together?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we've got a fantastic founder, a guy called Tommy Dahlberg, who has been in crypto for 7 or 8 years. Was one of the members of KuCoin when they were kind of growing out of Singapore into a global entity that they're known as today. So he's got a background in launching projects into exchanges and done it, had supported over 100 projects before he kind of dreamt up the idea of Penguin Karts. So the team has got a really good pedigree and background, which is the first thing. The idea of Penguin Karts actually came directly from Tommy, who was a bit of a kind of NFT collector himself, kind of geeking out on some of the trending projects. And I think it was his birthday. They did a karting event, like real world karting event, and that social event of having 10 friends or kind of buddies like racing it out, not necessarily kind of throwing stuff at each other like maybe they do in Mario Kart, but kind of really kind of battling it out. Bananas. But having that kind of friendly social event of playing and competing against each other, and then going back and collecting NFTs, it was like there's something in here. So put the two and the two together really is how do we create an NFT collection that's fun and exciting, creates a community, and then a game that's actually challenging, skill-based competition, with play-to-earn rewards. And that just dreamt up this crazy idea, to be honest. An NFT collection and a game of karting turned into the startup that it is today. And Tommy kind of started the business. He also invested money himself to start the game development. We've got a game development partner called FabWorld, who have got a long history in Unity-based games and have a lot of blockchain experience more recently. So we've got a really good game development partner, and it kind of dreamt the idea up from there, really. It's kind of rolled on to where it is today.
Good stuff. So are you getting since his background is from KuCoin, are you getting tons of questions in the community all the time saying, when KuCoin?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's, I mean, it's good to know people, but it doesn't necessarily always get you in the door straight away.
No.
There's work to do. There's groundwork to do to get the project ready for
also a bit of this as well to get you into exchanges.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
People think I think we've had questions before of, have you thought about listing on Binance?
Oh yeah, love the idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just I forgot to message CZ. That's a good idea. I'll do that now. Yeah, I think
it's on speed dial here.
Yeah, just a bit easier than it is, but it's like climbing a ladder where you start and then you go up. And obviously, I think when we launched VEMP, I think KuCoin was really rising up the ranks in 2021. Same with crypto.com. They sort of started climbing up then. And I think crypto.com and KuCoin are like probably fourth and fifth now. Then again, OKX. But those three are like 4, 5, 6. And then obviously you got FTX, Coinbase, Binance, who are somewhere in there. So, and then underneath that, you got the others. And then you need to get them, to get them, to get them. And it's climbing up constantly. But that's the battle everyone faces. With the actual game itself, because I know a lot of tokens do sort of a dual token, or the actual mechanics behind the play to earn is important in sort of the overall game economy. So do you want to touch on that a bit?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's a lot of bad press that play to earn games have necessarily maybe got in the past, where they haven't built an economy that has a longevity to it. There's this dream of a massive TGE and then share the coins across all the players. But, ultimately, play to earn games have to be a business, and there has to be a revenue model that supports the economy for a longevity. So you can't just give away tokens forever to your players and expect the business to support itself. So we've really kind of built the game and the mechanics, the kind of revenue model around the game to support a long-term plan. And what I mean by kind of building that in is that, ultimately the game is free to play. So you can turn up and, jump in a cart, go racing and win some rewards. But there is an NFT marketplace where people can buy NFTs and you can customize your cart. You can get 3D characters and change your penguin to a gold flashy one or a kind of scrappy guy. So you got all that customization in there. And obviously all those events generate revenue, go back into the business and make the model work. Also, a really popular trend is the idea of having like a wager lounge where you can passively bet on the result of games. So we can all kind of, you can be there at your desk whilst you're on a podcast or whatever it might be, and you can see, this player and that player playing it out and put a bid and a bet, and all of that mechanics of the marketplace and the wager lounge, all of those things, they recuperate and generate revenue back into the business, through small transaction costs. So ultimately there's, revenue being generated and not just all revenue being given out, which I think is really important for the longevity of any play-to-earn game, is having that mechanics of both.
Yeah, 100%. I think people don't often people forget that you cannot just launch a token without thinking of the underlying business behind it. It seems that any team, founders, or business behind a token, just any sort of money that goes to them is always so much drama. As in, like, it's any talk of like any fees, entry, exit, anything. There's always a lot of FUD to combat. It's like, yeah, only they can speculate on your token. Don't you dare make any money yourself. But that's part and parcel.
On the flip side of that, though, like, we will have a ton of investors, and we've got a responsibility to generate a proper business on top of it so that their investment has a future. And I think that's actually really important. We published our revenue model so that people understood that there is NFTs that we will sell to people and that will make us money. So we have a future. And I think it's important to balance that like immediate mindset of like when 100x with, the reality of you need to build a business that actually operates and works. And that's
100%.
really important.
Because I often sort of, the analogy is in, for example, Penguin Karts, the protocol, and then Penguin Karts, the company. If something happens to the company, then that will nullify both. But if something happens to just the protocol, you've still got that, if the price decreases there. So I think that people often forget about the sustainability of having a business actually maintaining it, because if something happens to the business, who's going to maintain it? Especially because everybody loves renounced smart contracts now, which means that they're never upgradable. You can't edit them. So there's no ownership function. It's very much trials and tribulations of the crypto market and trying to demonstrate understanding. And often when you do things for the right reason, you need to explain why it's not for the wrong reason. But yeah, it's definitely the days of, there's so many launches now and they all go the same way. People get exuberant on the way up and they hate you all the way down. But you just, as a crypto business, and as anyone who's been in crypto for a good 2-3 years, they tend to understand that everything happens in a cycle. And that's, it's
for sure.
Very much a ride.
I think there's a responsibility in there somewhere to be a place of education as well. Communities can get frustrated with a decline or a crash or whatever it is, or like a bit of a winter, and I think there is a responsibility on everyone in crypto to educate their community that there is longevity and these things go in cycles, like you say. And actually sometimes a down run is a period of building and coming out the other side. So that's certainly, some of the conversation that we have with our community as well, is just that, we are so early in this. We're not even launched the game yet, and it's on its path. So all the good stuff is yet to come. And we've really just got the history of a few months of setting up our marketing and doing the development work. So everything forward is positive, and that's the direction that we're going.
100%. Speaking of development, game sort of roadmap, how is the game development coming? Are you planning on launching a sort of beta version first, or are you going sort of everything ahead of time, launching full in? How's that going to work?
Yeah, so the game development actually started like way back 6-9 months ago, long before we even approached putting a token in market or anything like that. We really wanted to get a head start on development so that there was a shorter window possible between our token launch and then obviously bringing a game to market. So our token launch is 23rd of March, which was a month or so ago now, almost 2 months ago now. And the game launch itself, we're going to bring out as a closed beta to anyone that either holds one of our NFTs or is a member of our Discord. So it'll be like there'll be a few thousand people that are lucky enough to get their hands on an early copy, and then it'll be a closed beta where we can kind of test it, get user feedback, iterations, add new tracks, all those types of things, and then I'll do a full launch kind of shortly after that. But realistically, I think we're looking like we're going to be end of July into early August in terms of a kind of closed beta launch, which keeps it within 3 or 4 months of the TGE, which is always the focus. I hate it when it's like years go by and nothing happens.
I think one thing that I always say, whatever time frame you expect and however much money you think you're going to spend, double it on both and you'll probably get the correct answer. So if you think it's going to be late July, early August, tell people end of August. I don't think I've ever managed to, whenever I say a date, I'm cursed to miss it.
Right.
As in, I think with our game, because it's there's a lot of bugs sometimes on the visual end. You got to sort of kink out, but I'm sure sort of everything's looking good, especially since you started it sort of 6 to 9 months ago.
9 months ago, yeah, exactly. And we've had just quite recently actually had a developer copy landed on the desks of a few of our team that's playable and ready, and to be honest, looking pretty slick. We're really excited about it. Our creative director has got an incredible attention to detail, which is a blessing and a curse, as anyone that works with somebody with attention to detail will know. Everything is fine-tuned and corrected, so we're super excited about getting it in the hands of people.
Definitely double the time frames then. Obviously, everyone wants to know why a certain play-to-earn game is different to everything else that's out there. To be fair, I haven't seen the karting games, let alone Penguin karting games. So you've got that one, but if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, like I said right back at the beginning, I think a lot of the team is of that era where gaming became, like video gaming became really big. So like PlayStation era, early N64, even before that with some of the team, or a few of us a little bit older. And there's almost a kind of romantic relationship with that genre, or that kind of period of gaming where it was simple, it was effective, it was kind of competitive and kind of captured the hearts and love of people. And we really want to bring that into Penguin Karts and have gameplay first, incredible kind of fun interactive battle game, and then layer in those NFT and kind of blockchain play to earn elements that can be I guess rewarding for the user. I think expectations of gamers will come on, and I think there's a marrying up of traditional gaming where there's really high quality games, but they are like pay to play, aren't they? Ultimately you need to either buy the game or the in-game elements to be able to progress on them. And then you've got this new like play to earn genre coming in where you can earn money by playing the games, but a lot of the games are a little bit naff. There's a lot of like farming and running around and doing basic things. And if we can bring the playability of traditional gaming into the play to earn world and kind of marry those two things together, I think play to earn gaming can be a really big thing going forward. But we have to accept that today it's a fringe niche kind of area of gaming that is very small and has got a long way to go when it comes to user acquisition and user development, education, and ultimately kind of number of games.
100%. I think that we said that even this morning with my team, we were talking about how it tends to get forgotten. People spend so much time building an in-game economy because they're so scared of having an Axie Infinity situation with out of control inflation that they just completely forget about the actual game, and it's just not fun. So there's definitely a massive opportunity. I always say the first person to come out with, for example, like a Call of Duty play to earn or Mario Kart play to earn, something that's actually fun to play and you make money. Who isn't going to absolutely love that? I'm just checking on Lex tools. That's what I was typing away. If you're looking for the ticker of Penguin Karts, it's PGK. It's on Phantom Chain, so it's on Spooky Swap. But you can see there that, the normal market, everything's had a pullback, but it's a very, very good opportunity. I think we invested in, can't remember if it was strategic or private round, but yeah, definitely looking, not financial advice, undervalued and a great price to get in.
I think, like you said before, with that kind of window before a TGE and a product in market, it's typical that you kind of get that gap between the two, and then obviously the product coming to market is the big launch, which is really exciting. And for us, that kind of comes in two shapes: a big 3D NFT launch, which we'll be doing in about a month's time. And there'll be the 3D characters that you can then use in the game. So there's going to be 10,000 penguins launched, which will let these awesome little 3D renders. And then obviously the game launch. So those two things really feed into, I guess, our strategy for the next couple of months.
Good stuff. I mean, it looks like, touch wood, as soon as I say this, there'd be like a red candle or something. But it looks like you're very much sort of accumulating at the same level for a while now. So it's always a good sign. There's my TA for you. Classic.
Yeah, I mean, I tend not to get into that side too much because I do, whilst crypto and all of that things is really important. I think if you focus on the product, the community, and the marketing, everything else will come into place quite nicely. And I think if we can get our timing right and develop the product to deliver on the promise that we're putting out there, then that's almost the most important thing, and all of the rest will fall into place. So I think TA is important, and I know people love to look at the charts, but focus on the game.
Oh yeah, I don't look at my own charts. I only look at other people's because we obviously have these in our Ethereum strategy. I think, or I can't remember since we don't have an FTM pool yet, I'm not sure if it's held in the Ethereum strategy or the BNB strategy where we have our PGK. But yeah, I always do TA on other people's charts, just never my own. I don't look at my own, but for the very reason that you said. But yeah, I used to be a derivatives trader, so I'm always drawing squiggly lines, which mean nothing to anyone except me. But I won't.
That's the magic.
I won't draw any squiggly lines on yours. Where do you see? We've already touched on this really, but I mentioned about the future very much being, in my eyes, in terms of quality games. But what do you envision? What is the sort of utopia of crypto gaming for you?
I think for me, it's player acquisition and the steps that we need to take to get there, not just as Penguin Karts ourselves, but as everyone that's working on PlaytoEarn Gaming. There's needs to be a focus on understanding the value that you can offer to the player and demonstrating that through your marketing, but then also education of all of those things. But I think probably the most important part for me is that, even having been in crypto for like 4 or 5 years from trading and then obviously working in the space, I still think it's too complicated. And I think if we're going to drive millions of users into PlaytoEarn Gaming, whether it's Penguin Karts or any other game, tens of millions of more users, and it just needs to be much easier to use. And one of the things that we're focused on is hopefully being one of those kind of on-ramps for PlaytoEarn Gaming. We're actually building a version of Penguin Karts, which will be in the App Store, be in Google Play, and it'll be in iOS, which is a Web 2 version of the game. And we're doing that just because we want people to play the game. And then when they win in the game, in the Web 2.0 version, it will say, we also have a crypto version. And if you had won this tournament, you would have got an NFT. So click here and go and download it and connect your wallet up and be an on-ramp into the education between like what a Web 2 game is in the App Store and what a Web 3 game can be. So I think, going further, I think all of the businesses in this space need to think of what is the user journey, the simplification that's going to help the onboarding of people that are scared of crypto because they've seen a market crash or a scam or what, a Luna, whatever a Luna is for people that are not in crypto. Like, it's all very intimidating. And I think, our vision certainly is to be, one of the businesses that becomes the kind of center of PlaytoEarn Gaming, simplifies it, helps users on board, and then ultimately, you're in a place of power and hopefully fortune then when you've got all the players and you can make that transition and bring people on. So I hope PlaytoEarn Gaming grows and becomes easier to use is really the main thing. And hopefully go from the few 100,000 players that are really engaging in this space now to maybe the first million, 10 million, 100 million people that are all playing PlaytoEarn games around the world.
Definitely. I think that the barrier to entry is something that we found as well. For example, we had our demo, which was a free-to-play version, and then we launched the crypto version with just that and got rid of the free-to-play. And we've actually brought the free-to-play back for the very reason that trying to onboard, normies straight into a crypto game isn't necessarily the easiest marketing strategy. If you can build a sort of off-chain community around a decent, fun game, then the conversion from liking the game and playing it to liking the game, playing it and earning money from it will be a lot easier. So we're on the same wavelength there.
I think it's a really good strategy, and there's an investment in time and resources for a business to do that because obviously it costs money to support. But I do think it's for the greater good of the whole space. I think it's a really good strategy.
Going forward, you're getting very close to the game launch. So how have you planned what everybody also likes to say, and as you are CMO, when marketing?
So marketing's always on. I think that's an important point. For us, there's almost kind of three strands to our strategy broadly, which is one is acquisition and I guess looking outside of our community and making sure that we're advertising in the right places. We're building partnerships. The ecosystem of partnerships is almost like kind of the backbone of our plan. We've already got more than 50 partnerships across different games, NFT projects, people like yourselves, ultimately that are kind of part of our partner ecosystem. And what we really want to do is bring together, AMAs and group events and sharing ideas, across that network. So the partnerships are really important. And then really there's two big events coming up, which, we build our marketing around. One is, like I mentioned, the 3D NFT launch. We're creating a big splash around the 3D characters that we're launching. The penguins are actually called Scrappy Penguins, so it's a 3D NFT collection called Scrappy Penguins, which we launch, and we'll have 10,000 of those go out at the end of June. So that's, I guess, like a big event. Once we've got those holders, then we launch the game and we drive all of the holders into the game, and that's really the kind of plan, the schedule that we've got lined up around that.
Nice. Before we move to questions from our audience, we've got a couple already. Is there anything that we haven't yet touched on that you wanted to get into the show today?
Anything else about the project? I think we've covered a lot of things, to be honest. I'm just looking at my own notes. I mean, I think the other interesting discussion or topic around kind of gaming in this space is that I think there's a lot of things that could happen that will really, really benefit us as a whole ecosystem. And, you've probably seen a few things like Apple kind of teasing their step into crypto with, I think it was the MetaMask integration that happened recently with Apple Pay. Things like that, I think, are just going to be the catalysts. When that next step happens and hopefully iOS Store starts to support wallets, you can just imagine the boom that's going to happen around that. So I guess it's not necessarily related to our project, but if there's one thing that I could hope would happen, in the next year or so, it would be something like kind of, the app stores, really starting to embrace this technology, because then it opens the door for people like us to, embrace the technology in the game and bring that user onboarding on.
100%. Yeah, I think that people often forget when we're in a market such as the one we have right now, literally it can change so quickly. All it takes is like Apple Pay announcing they're taking, putting on Ethereum and Bitcoin. Everything starts running again. Some sort of Facebook update, some sort of meta update on their metaverse, whole metaverse in gaming starts running again. So we're in a very uncertain time geopolitically and potentially sort of with recessionary headwinds, etc. But that doesn't necessarily correlate. Number one, Ethereum and Bitcoin are to be tested as their inflation hedges, which at present they're sort of seen as risk-on assets. People buy them. It's like tech stocks. The reason they've suffered so much is because when people are feeling bullish, they buy growth stocks like tech and growth things like crypto. But when they're feeling bearish, they buy gold, silver, commodities, agriculture, etc. Things that people always need in order to protect themselves. But Bitcoin was built as an inflation hedge. So I think there will come a time where it separates and decouples itself from sort of the stock market, basically. But just got to wait and see for that. But yeah, metaverse and gaming, we have the additional benefit that there's always so many updates, people and corporates stepping into this area. Just the headlines that come out that can really, I think even when the whole market was crashing, I think JP Morgan or might have been Goldman Sachs announced they'd set up like a branch in Decentraland, and Decentraland went on a massive run just on its own outside of everything. But yeah, that trickles down into our sector. So yeah, there's always a silver lining and there's always something coming up. And we're in such an innovative space that there's no doubt in anyone's mind who works in blockchain that this is the future. So for us, it's just patience. That's all that is in blockchain and crypto. If anyone's panicking, I think it's like, nobody has ever held Bitcoin for 4 years and not, seen it go up in value. It's just a game of waiting out the market and not getting shaken out.
Yeah, certainly uncertain times, and there's a compounding effect of unfortunate events, around the world that led us to kind of where the economy is today, isn't it? But I think there's also green shoots of, there's a lot of innovation, a lot of great ideas, and ultimately there's all the technologies are evolving, and I think we think in our world of how innovative and technology focused we are, but if we kind of take a step out of that world and just think about consumers and gamers and people out there in the real world, the normies, I think you said earlier, I think their expectations are changing and they're learning new things, and they are seeing Instagram talk about NFTs and all of these things. So I think there's I think just everything's coming towards this industry over time. I
see a lot of very, very bullish headlines. And it's odd sometimes of what takes, what people pay attention to. Because I saw headlines coming out about the UK making USDC and USDT, or thinking about making them legal tender. Nobody cared. But to me, that's massive.
It's huge.
And other things like in terms of adoption. But yeah, sometimes it can be such obscure things that everyone takes as like super, super bullish. But yeah, it's just a waiting game. Moving into questions. Lucas said, I'm looking like a snack today. Thank you, Lucas. I don't think so. I got a cut. It looked like I split my lip, but maybe you like some rough and ready. That's why. vEmpire invested in Penguin Karts. Yes, we did. So we do have, as I say, held in our Ethereum or B&B strategy, one of them. Can we talk about some of the features about the game, like being able to bet on the races and how that will work? Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, sure. So I think from a simplest gameplay perspective, I mean, it's a multiplayer racing game. So there'll be 4 to 8 players race in any event, and there'll be multiple races happening at any one time. So you essentially go into a lounge, find your race, battle it out, and there'll be, like the other games we've mentioned, like the Mario Karts and the likes, there's rocket launchers and things that you throw at each other, knock each other off the track, and ultimately try to win. Gold, silver, and bronze will win a prize, which is either a PGK token or an NFT, different value. And the penguins themselves and the carts are both customizable NFTs. And so that's kind of part of the winnings that the revenue is planned around. In terms of the other mechanics, across the marketplace, there's you can buy NFTs and trade and sell NFTs there. So there's a community engagement piece in the marketplace. And then the wager lounge that we talked about is more of a kind of passive way of, engaging with the game. There'll be a lounge that you can hang out. And as games are starting, you'll be able to look at other people's stats and say, oh, well, Dom's won nothing and Barry's won a load of stuff. So I'm going to bet on Baz and, hopefully, try to win a prize that way as well.
I'll get all the bets as the outsider because you're going to be dealing with the crypto public. So they're all going to FOMO into the 100 to 1 and then absolutely be fuming when it doesn't come in.
Yeah, and I think that's fun. We've seen that kind of social casino side of gaming is really big all around the world. I think in the Philippines and I think India was one of the other markets that we researched. That's actually that kind of passive gaming is, I guess it's a bit like horse racing, and all of those types of sports where, they're basically placing bets on the fastest racer. So, there's an element of that in the game as well, which I think is quite exciting. And it means that some people will be playing and kind of competitive and learning the skills and, ultimately competing. And then other people, they'll be, more passively engaged, but able to play and earn by a few clicks and choosing your fastest racer.
Good stuff. Got one here. Is the market cap really only 100K? I think they're talking about circulating supply.
Yeah, based on current circulating supply, that's how it's showing on the index screener. So we are a small micro cap at this point in the market. I mean, we launched, the TG was 23rd of March, and we're about 8 weeks on from there. I think in the anticipation for the game launch, obviously we expect a lot further progression, but we're in that gap between a launch and a game, so it's almost expected.
Going to load our bags. That's what we're going to do. I know
load
that
up.
Jeff
take them, and then
shows on here. Oh, another one from Jeff. Which beard oil do you use?
Good question, actually. I don't. I'm
not?
lazy. No, this isn't a beard of choice. This is a beard of laziness. I've just done nothing for so long, but this is what happened.
Fair enough. See, I don't use any beard oil, but I always get somebody who gets me one for Christmas, and then sometimes I will use it when I see it there, and I think, oh, maybe I'll do that. But yeah, Jeff has a habit of picking up an NFT or some tokens of seemingly every single protocol that comes on here. So no doubt he's adding Phantom to his MetaMask right now.
Yeah, finding his way to Spooky Swap as we speak.
Yeah, definitely. Can you explain the tokenomics? It's the latest.
Yeah, so I mean, so our strategy around tokenomics is we've got 200 million PGK fixed supply, and then really the revenue model that we described kind of earlier on is that there are several mechanics through the engagement with the game, the marketplace, and the wager economy that we're essentially winning back or buying back some of those tokens into the treasury. The treasury then becomes where the play to earn rewards come from. So it's a circular process. Ultimately, we were talking right back at the beginning about building a revenue flow and a kind of tokenomics model that supports the game long term. And by not going for an inflationary or deflationary, but kind of fixing the supply, but having a revenue model that supports the game, I think is a really smart approach.
Good stuff.
We
Jeff
don't
said-
that way kind of artificially change the token price over time. It's really based on what's happening in the ecosystem.
Good stuff. Jeff said that he actually seriously is adding Phantom to his MetaMask right now. James has got a good suggestion. Can vEmpire open a marketplace to make it easier for investors to get into projects like this? Good idea. We could have a little marketplace where all of the protocols that we talk to and everything can potentially have a selection of like NFTs that during, after, or at any point before the show could sort of list some, and we could always have them available for people to look at. Good idea, James.
I think the other thing on that is a point I mentioned earlier about crypto is just too complicated still. I think we're obviously on Phantom, which is probably a smaller chain than maybe like your Ethereum fund or your BNB fund, and I think generally technology and like the crypto space needs to simplify the journey for gamers and investors. We're actually having a few conversations now about going multi-chain so that we can ease the process for people that are on some of the bigger chains. And I think that's a model that many businesses will take so that you can simplify the onboarding and make it easy for people to support the project or play the game.
Very much looking forward to the merge with Ethereum. I mean, imagine like for ages, the whole of crypto has been complaining about gas. I struggle to think what might happen, like if Ethereum actually sorts it out. Like surely it will go ballistic. I think that my thoughts on what will spark the next bull run is one or two things. Either Bitcoin and Ethereum decouples and acts like the inflation hedges they were supposed to, or secondly, the Ethereum merge happens, because they're doing all of these tests and it seems like it will be this year, touch wood. But yeah, I think that could really spark things off. We just got another question on why Phantom.
Why Phantom? Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, so our target market is global gaming, right? And some of the huge gaming markets, like the Philippines, India, and Thailand, their play to earn economy is probably a much lower economic level than what maybe we might expect here in the UK or in the US. So to have something that is going to be supporting thousands of transactions at a fraction of it's a fraction of a penny for a transaction. That's really going to help the play to earn gaming economy, because ultimately the players are going to earn their pence or pounds for winning their game rather than paying all of that in fees. So it needs to be a almost minimal non-fee that takes place, and Phantom's fantastic for that. I mean, it's super lightweight, basically costs nothing to do transactions on, and it's got quite a good gaming ecosystem already set up. So we've got around 15 partners that are Phantom based games already, and it does everything we need to do to support that play to earn side of things without essentially wasting players' money on fees.
Yeah, I've in fact, vEmpire just invested into another Phantom chain protocol, which I think was introduced by the same people who introduced us to you. We've we had another question come in on tokenomics, but you already explained that. I presume that you can find it all on your website.
Yeah, website is penguinkarts.com, and then top right corner is the white paper button. So that goes out to GitHub, and then we've got it all nicely laid out on there. So there's a whole bunch of information about vesting schedule, tokenomics, the roadmap, as you would expect.
Good stuff. And the last one is, can you get us a vEmpire cart, please?
That's a cool idea. You have to speak to our designer.
Fair enough.
We talking about kind of customization and things. We have partnered or started working with one of the big NFT projects out there, and we're just about to drop a super cool announcement about a special character that we'll be able to play in the game. So keep an eye out for that.
So
he's not
what you're saying is you're dropping the alpha on the Bald CEO show.
Exactly.
Nice.
So he's going to be joining the game, and that's super exciting. It's one of the cool things about PlaytoEarn Gaming space, isn't it? That all these games are partnering. There's interoperability. The idea that you could potentially be playing Penguin Karts and then go play a fighter game and have a fighter penguin, and then all of those types of things are quite cool as well.
Good stuff. Well, we'll certainly be hounding you on the vEmpire cart. But no, thanks so much. Really interesting, and really looking forward to playing the game and having 4 to 8 people, and then an additional 4 to 8 who are betting on it, and getting my win ratio up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll have to do a launch event of some type. Maybe we'll come back and do a live stream of our first race together. And,
true.
See how good you really are.
Traveling up to Oxford or you down to Guildford. But yeah, let's see. But thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure to check out the website. Just go back about 30 seconds and you'll hear it. And the token itself is on SpookySwap, which is Phantom Chain. PGK is the ticker, but it's in Dex Tools if you type that in. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Baz, and see everybody next time. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks for having us. See you soon.